Would you like a YouTube channel or any platform that thousands more people see every month? Would you like to share your content and transform people's lives every day? And would you like to not only reach thousands more, not only transform lives, but pays more and more each month? Well, you can do all three without destroying your faith. In fact, your faith will grow stronger. I remember starting my first YouTube channel related to teaching the Bible. I didn't know how to start. I was petrified. You would think I hadn't been teaching the Bible for like 6 years, let alone open my mouth before at all. But in fact, I already had another YouTube channel on my business, and my business was doing well. I was making thousands of dollars a month, but that's not the kicker. The main way I made money was, catch this, by making videos. You can't make this up. How can someone with the skills to do something be so paralyzed by fear he performs like a beginner? That's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to tell you more of that story in a moment. Then I'm going to share a passage I was reading recently. This passage will transform the way you think about achieving great things. And then there's something I'm going to share with you from my book. This one thing is the thing that stops most from enjoying the fruits of greatness. So if you want to be great, you need to know this. That Bible channel has a little under 7,000 subscribers and grows every day. It's pretty automatic. It reaches thousands of people every month. It has content which blesses people, and it provides some of the resources that look after my family. I remember that first video, I was sitting in front of my camera stressing over how to start the video. So you know what I did? I pressed record and told people exactly what was going on. I said something like, I'm sitting here wondering how I'm going to start the video. You said I should teach, Lord, so that's what I'm going to do. God, I can't believe the scariest part for me about this video is how I'm going to introduce myself to the world in this first video. You said, Israel, teach my people the word, and I guess that's what I'm going to do. This was the intro to that video, and I started my lesson on Genesis. I was bad, at least I felt bad, but that's the first video that took that channel to where it is now. If I never make that video, the rest never happens. If you don't start, even when you think, feel and know you are bad, you can never get to greatness. You will never experience all the fruit that comes from doing the thing, only from doing the thing. Because this is the difference between those who are great and those who are never great. I knew that back then, and that was why I could start, even when I didn't feel like it. Study great people and you will see they are willing to start because the end result is worth the journey. I was reading about King Solomon in my daily devotion recently. Solomon was the wisest man to ever live and the richest man to ever live. He did a lot of great things in his life. The most important thing he did was build the house of God. Listen to what it says in 1 Kings chapter 6. Starting at verse 1 it says, And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord. It's been hundreds of years since his ancestors had come out of slavery, and now he's the king. His father David didn't allow his history to stop him from being a king, and this no doubt helped Solomon do the same. A key principle to starting is great people don't allow their past to stop them. So 4 years into his reign, King Solomon says it's time to build God's house in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month. This was not February for them. The 2nd month for them was April or May, depending on when the moon showed up. It varied a little, which meant their months were not set the way ours are today. Now, this was not a small task to do. This was great. Listen to the next verse. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. The length of the house he built for God was 80 cubits. That's about 90 feet. 90 feet is about a quarter of an NFL football field. It's like from the end zone to the 25-yard line. It's like the distance between two bases in baseball. The width was 20 cubits, so about 30 feet. The width was longer than a red bus in London, or as wide as a telephone pole. And the height was 30 cubits. This is about 45 feet. It was the same height as the Hollywood sign in the LA Hills. Now, bear in mind, this was 3,000 years ago. Solomon has all this gold, silver and raw materials to build this house, but he's never built anything like this before. And this is the house his father David wanted to build, but God said Solomon will do it, not David. Think about the pressure. Listen to the next verse. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits, the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house. 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. There was a porch before the temple too. There's this great porch which leads you into the house of God. This was a masterpiece. A key principle to starting is, great people don't make the mistake of doing it alone. Solomon couldn't build this all by himself. He worked with people to build it. As you read through the chapter, you see all the things God's house had. Different levels, windows, designs. It was a masterpiece devoted to God. But I'm going to pick back up at verse 37 and read to verse 2 of chapter 7. Listen to this. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Lord laid in the month Ziph. After telling you all the stuff that was there, it reminds us when the work began. You start building work with the foundation. Solomon started in the 4th year of his reign. Then listen to the next verse. And in the 11th year, in the month Bul, which is the 8th month, was the house finished throughout all the parts thereof. And according to all the fashion of it, so was he 7 years in building it. In the month Bul, the 8th month for them, which was around October, November for us, according to David's blueprints, the work finished 7 years later. It took Solomon 7 years to build the house of God. The greatest thing Solomon did took him 7 years. It wasn't an overnight success. It took 7 years, but if in the 2nd month of the 4th year of his reign, as a beginner, he never started, this will never happen. But that's not all. Look at the next verse. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. It took Solomon almost double the time to build his own house, and it makes sense when you read the next verse. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon, the length thereof 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits, upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, with cedar beams upon the pillars. The length of this house was 150 feet, nearly half the size of an NFL football field. This house was far bigger than the house of God he built in 7 years. You could fit the house of God inside his forest house. That's how big it was. Now, before I share one thing from my book that stops most people from enjoying the fruits of greatness, I have another key for you, and this is it. A key principle to starting is, great people know greatness takes time and are willing to wait for it. I talk about this in my video about how to get faster results. I talk about the assembly line concept that will transform your thinking and help you produce exponential results when you do it. But in my book, I was reading this week about 2 words. This is on page 104 and 105. 2 powerful words that will change your life. The 2 words are just start. Like Solomon had to just start, like I had to just start, my advice to you is just start. I want to share with you what stops most people from achieving great things. I talk about why I can motivate people to start, why I just start, and this is what I write. I have broken the most challenging person there is, self. The one thing that will stop you from just starting is you. There's a story you're telling yourself that is stopping you from just starting. Once you replace that story, you will not only start, you will keep walking. And at some point, greatness is going to knock on your door and say, I'm here and I came with some gifts. If you want to know how to change the story that's stopping you from starting, my video on the stories that you tell that are costing you the sale will help. Go win and God bless winners.